You are now listening to Creative Hora.
Hi everyone, welcome to Creative Hora. I'm Dalia,
And I'm Mary.
and we're so excited to welcome you back for another conversation with two friends.
Yes, friend, we're back. As always. We always come back. But as we like to get things started, I know we always go with our quick little friend vibe check to see how we're doing, either for the day, for the week. So friend, what's the vibe lately? How you doing?
Friend, thank you so much for this question. I always appreciate just checking in. It feels like, a moment to check in with my body, ground myself. At this moment, I would say I'm feeling two different emotions actually. There's a part of me that feels just a deep gratitude this week for, you know, waking up in my home, waking up with my family, just feeling just so much gratitude for my day to day life. But there's also like a general deep sadness about the world and what's happening around, and I struggle a bit with both. I've been
Yeah.
feeling very emotional, very tender, but then also very grateful. So that's how I'm feeling, and it's two different emotions. But yeah, I feel very grateful at the moment.
Yeah, friend, and I appreciate you just sharing both. One can say conflicting feeling, but I do think both emotions can be true at the same time. And I can hear the vulnerability in your voice. So, like, I'm just super happy and glad that you're able to share that with me and just on the platform of having the sense of gratitude, but also having those feelings of sadness, which again, both can be true at the same time. So,
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that, friend.
Thank you, friend. I really appreciate that. Like I said, this question, I always try to be very honest with how I'm feeling in the present, and yeah, I'm just really thankful for the space to do so. But friend, like, how are you feeling? How's your week been as well? I want to hear all about it.
Yeah, I think my week's been pretty, I would say, energizing is a good word to use. I think the week, um, I've been, for the week, I've been super consistent in my wellness routine with meditation and journaling and therapy. So I think that has really energized me, and I'm continuing to take care of my physical body through building a basketball community and playing basketball, but also taking care of my mental health by talking to my therapist. And she was out for 2 weeks. I couldn't believe her. No, but it's good. I'm glad she's back. Um, I'm glad she's back. She took care of herself. um, Also taking care of my spiritual well-being through the meditation practice and checking in with myself consciously. So I do think a combination of all of those has really energized my week, and also have a lot of gratitude for the week and just having the most balance I can get in terms of my emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being. Being in equilibrium, I think, is a good word to use. So that's where I'm at right now.
Oh, friend, that sounds so beautiful, and I'm so happy to hear that. When you're in tune with your emotions, your mental health, your body, it's just a beautiful place to be. And so, that sounds really beautiful, friend. I actually had a, a meditation this week, friend, where I usually meditate on my commute, and I think I've shared this a little bit,
Yeah.
but dude, I was in a trance in my meditation where I was literally drooling.
Damn,
I'm
friend,
not
that's
gonna
next
lie.
level trends.
I literally I woke up from my meditation like one stop before I made it to work. So It was
That's
intense.
amazing. I mean, I'm sure, yeah, it was intense, but I'm sure there's
It's
all other
amazing, yeah.
emotions you felt. Yeah. Wow. I've never heard of that. Meditating. I haven't reached that point of Jewel yet, but I'm sure it was amazing.
No, it was like a drumming in the meditation, and
Hmm.
I think it was the drumming that put me in like an in between state where I knew I was awake, but I was really like heavy in terms of like I couldn't like get up or open my eyes. But anyways, that just
Wow.
reminded me of that. But I'm yeah really happy to hear about your week, friend.
Thanks, friend. No, I appreciate that. And yeah, you got to share that drumming meditation
I will. I
with
will.
me.
It was amazing.
Yeah, no, I love that. But yeah, to get into our card of the day, again, just as a reminder for folks who are not familiar with our card of the day um, segment of the pod, we do pull out a card from this deck called Icebreaker Deeper Talk, where there's different colors and categories, and we randomly get a question, and Dahlia and I get into it and answer the question as truthfully or honestly or whatever comes in mind first. But to repeat the category, so gray is dreams, yellow is life lessons, green is exposed, a baby blue is courage, orange is beliefs, and a darker navy blue is self awareness. Anything stood
Mm.
out to you, friend?
I'm gonna say life lessons because I don't think we've picked that card before.
Okay. Let me see. All right, that's the yellow category. Okay. So the card question says describe an argument you had that helped shape the person you are today.
Ooh, okay.
Okay. An argument we had that helped shape the person you are today.
Oh my god, I'm gonna expose myself, but I literally am terrible at conflict resolution. So I'm literally struggling right now to come up with something. I avoid conflict. I'm
I
working
know,
on
I
it.
know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I can start. I think there's a couple that come to mind.
Okay.
And I wouldn't say they were necessarily argument, but I would say they were very uncomfortable, tough conversations. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna err on that side. I'm typically not an argumentative person either. That's very under evolve me if I were to argue. But I want to channel and focus more on evolve me and how I navigated maybe tougher conversations. Um, I would say like, there was a conversation and it could have been an argument, but again, after doing some more reflection of how I want to carry myself in conversations or things that maybe are not, I don't see eye to eye with a person. I would say it's more so related to I had a conversation with my sister, with my younger sister. I think over the years since like the passing of my mom, I took on this kind of murky role of role model, mother figure to my younger sister. And that was the earlier years of my mom's passing. But I do think as the years went by, I did some inner work and this kind of put that in my awareness of that's a lot of pressure on me to carry this motherly figure. Um, Fast forward to just within the last year, having a conversation with my sister about just certain responsibilities that I didn't see eye to eye with her in terms of whether it was financial things or things related to my niece. And it could have been a whole argument because like there's moments where we ticked each other off, whether it was like, oh, we were supposed to have a discussion or planning meeting, let's just say, about what's next for her growth and kind of life plans, but we missed the meeting or there was a lack of communication,
Mhm.
for instance, of following through with the meeting at all. I do think initially those behaviors would have triggered me because I would have felt like my efforts weren't being seen or weren't being accounted for. And it could have been a whole argument where I could have been like, well, what the fuck? Like, you don't appreciate me or something like that. Um, but instead, I erred on the side of let me have this conversation and really set the expectation of how it made me feel, more so the behavior. And as her sister who's in her corner and will always be a cheerleader for her, there's certain boundaries in terms of how I would like communication in real time. And again, just for me to feel appreciated in the support I'm providing her, some type of alert or heads up that she like, either wasn't going to make the discussion or the meeting in quotes informal meeting um was really helpful to me. And I think understanding how she felt also about the situation was important. So again, I think that could have under involved me would have argued and said like this is not cool, like that's so rude, and like things that wouldn't have been as productive or ways of communication that in the past have not been effective for me. But I would say that conversation and heart to heart felt with my sister in terms of what I needed from her as a sibling and as someone who's supporting her and her growth and as someone who's on her corner has shaped the person I am, because I think I'm realizing as I evolve, um, there's a certain piece of emotional connection I need from people that are important to me. And it doesn't always have to be so deep and so like um vulnerable all the time, but I do think there's a balance of emotional connection that I need from people that I love, especially my sister.
Yeah.
And to me, that means communicating to me, even if it's the toughest conversation, even if it's going to upset me that she canceled this meeting or whatever it is. I do think it's important to me. So I think that has shaped the person I am is really communicating as best as I can my truth in feelings and what feels aligned to me. And in return, inviting the receiver of what I'm sharing for just anything, like whether they disagree or not. I want to also be aware that they feel safe in just sharing what they feel about it. But
Yeah,
again,
friend.
not an argument, but more so a different way to communicate or prevent an argument that's not as impactful, I would say.
Yeah, friend, I really appreciate you sharing that story. I know with siblings, sometimes it can be, really tough to communicate because we grew up together. We were children together. We are probably fighting as siblings when we were younger. So outgrowing those patterns is definitely a challenge. And to be quite honest, as I was trying to think of an example, the only examples I could think of was like disagreements with my sisters as well.
Yeah.
um,
Damn siblings. No, I'm kidding.
yeah, sibling core over here.
I
But
know,
yeah,
right?
I would say what comes to mind as well is an argument I had with my sister that is like she's 9 months apart, so we're really close in age. And ever since we were younger, we always were just very different in our approaches to everything, to communication, interest, where we spent our time. She was very much of an outdoors person. She liked to be outside, and I like to be more internal. I like to play. I had to like to play with my dolls, and I always felt like we had a sort of like just detachment, and that happened from being so close in age, and then just naturally that happens with like parents and their subconscious favoritism. But because she was the baby, she was the baby, she was the
Right, right.
smallest one, so it's just natural that the baby is gonna get more attention. So I feel like over the years I've always like we have struggled to come to a place in our relationship where we could communicate effectively, where we would respect each other's boundaries. It's been a journey, transparently. Things really started to change once my younger sister was born. She's the youngest one. We're 10 years apart, so she was definitely far out in terms of our age gap. But I would say that really allow us to start evolving towards more of like a friendship. So I'm not,
Mm,
I'm seeing you more as a friend. I'm choosing to hang out with you, and I'm choosing to
right.
um, have a like it's a choice, to be more to have a friendship. Where with family, it's like you don't really get to choose your family. And so I would say recently, about a couple months ago, we had a pretty strong. I wouldn't say, like I said, I wouldn't say an argument, but it was definitely like a very heated conversation with my sibling. And I think a lot of it comes back to I still live with my siblings, to be like in transparently. And so what that means is that a lot of times, because I live with my siblings and I live with my parents, sometimes the like trauma from our childhood will come up in small ways. And so recently what we had a disagreement on is my lack of respecting their boundaries.
Mhm.
And it was something that was really tough to acknowledge. It was really tough to accept that I was the one crossing boundaries and I was the one that was overstepping them.
Mm, mhm.
Um, and it was even in really small ways where I thought I was being helpful and I thought I was like, oh, I'm just trying to help.
Yeah,
But the
yeah.
the reality is that in my attempts to help, is that my sister may not be quite ready for
Yeah,
what not even that they're not ready for what I'm saying, but it could just be that, I'm being helpful, but it's not actually what is going to make an impact or make a change. Um there was times where I was like, "Oh, I'm seeing my sister that she may be struggling a little bit emotionally, and I want to, older sister, even though we're so close, I still feel like such an older sister as well. I'm like, oh, well, I want to help. Hey, like, um, I'm seeing you, but you're down. You should come do this. You should come do that. You should come do this with me. And it's like, it's too much. I'm
mm,
overstepping boundaries. And
mhm,
yeah, I had to take a moment to step back and be like, how can I actually be helpful? How can I listen to my sibling that I care deeply about, and understanding how I can be actually present for them in a way that they can receive? And so, yeah, it was like I was trying to like push them open to receive everything I was trying to give, but they weren't
right.
open to receive. And it's not even that, oh, they didn't want my help. It was like the way that I move very quickly, and they
Yeah,
tend to do things a bit slower. And so could be like a timing thing, a pace thing,
right,
so many
right.
different things. But the reality is that um, they are not quite open to receiving like all of that I'm trying to throw at them. And after reflection, after conversations, I've gotten to a point where now I'm understanding that, and I'm like, okay, I need to take a step back and acknowledge ways that I can actually be helpful. And sometimes that means not doing anything, no matter how hard
Yeah.
that is.
Yeah, friend, I definitely resonate when you wanna be that bigger sister, you want to be that sibling that just like, "Girl, I just want you to win and let me help you win." At the same time, I think what you said, like being aware of, do they want this help? Do they need this help right now? To us it looks like help, but to them is it help, or
Yeah.
what does that support or help look like for them specifically? Because to us it looks very obvious. um but I definitely resonate and with you on that in terms of just, I guess, making assumptions that the help that I want to provide or give is what they need. But to your
Hmm.
point, sometimes it's just, I don't know, maybe they just want to go get ice cream, or maybe they just want to just
Yes.
rot together and be
Yeah.
in existence together but not do anything. So I hear you on that one. It was a tough reality check when you're like, damn, I don't need to help all
Yes.
the time, maybe.
Yes.
And I just need to ask them what they need. But yeah, I
Yeah,
appreciate you
a
sharing.
nice reminder to empaths out there.
Yeah.
Just because
Yeah.
we feel it doesn't mean we have to do anything about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I love that. Yes. Family siblings can really teach you a lot in terms of just one catering to our own needs, but also catering to their own individual needs that may be different from ours. So for yeah, for sure. Siblings. Those are we love them. You can't
Yes,
live
we
without
do.
them. For sure.
But friend, first, yeah, I appreciate always, like I said, this space is so open for us to be very transparent. And I really appreciate that from you. And, as we're transitioning into our next conversation, which is really something that we've been, talking about for a while, which is our creative journey and just the development of that creative journey for both as individuals has been so fun to explore on the podcast. And so, I'm so curious to tap back into that, check in with you, friend, around how things have evolved since we last chatted with your creative journey.
Yeah, so I know in our creative pulse check section, I talk a lot about Hoop as You Are, Haya, the basketball community I'm creating with my partner Amani. That's still in progress and continue to grow and really think about in quote year two planning and just reflecting back on what we learned the past year and sitting down together and thinking about the growth that we've had in the past year and continuing to plan for the second year with the league, the second round of the league, hosting more community pickup games, hosting more events, whether it's social or maybe future other programming like basketball clinics. So right now we're definitely in the pause, reflect, and plan phase. I would say I just made that up right now. um, but definitely, yeah, I think it's just a good time as we're wrapping up our first official year of Haya and continuing to like, pause and think about the first year, reflect on learnings, potentially maybe pivoting from like just a quick sneak peek of our pausing and reflecting, but pivoting from an LLC to a nonprofit and what that process looks like. So right now, I would say a lot of growth and just reflection and a lot of just eagerness amongst Amani and I to continue what we're doing here in the DC, Maryland region to provide and build a community, a basketball community hub for women in the LGBTQIA space um, here. So that's where we're at. Nothing too new yet. Again, we're in this.
You're in the creative boom.
Yes, we're yes in this creative room of thinking and pondering and writing things down and just continuing to leverage the community that we're building to help us along the way and make sure that it's kind of like a two-way street where we're helping out the community and building with the community, but also being okay with getting help too and saying things out loud of things we need to help the community grow and I'm sure that there's a lot of just resources out there and folks who are so hungry to have this space too. So I think that's where we're going into right now.
Yeah, friend, that's amazing. And I always love when I'm on Instagram and I'm following the page and you'll post about, how your community continues to evolve and expand. And it's just so beautiful because the demand is there and the demand continues to grow. And you two being so intentional about what that growth looks like is amazing because it's definitely reflected in the community that you're building. And so I'm so excited to see what season two looks like for y'all
Yeah, yeah.
and how that evolves because it sounds like it continues to be something that is you're watering and so it's going to continue to bloom and who knows like we might have Haya across the country we never the way
That's
things
the
are
goal.
tracking.
That's the long-term goal. It'd be nice to see lots of different higher communities in across the nation or doesn't necessarily have to be the name Haya, but just continuing to spread
Yeah.
the same concepts across different communities or different areas as well is definitely a long-term goal for us.
Friend, I'm so curious. As you're in this reflective period of Haya, what has been something that you and Amani are doing to, brainstorm or reflect? What are some like activities or, things that you two are doing together to flush that out?
Yeah, I like that question a lot. I think Amani and I, in terms of activities, we're doing both together, but also individually, I'd say.
Mm,
Um, Together on a together level, we definitely spend time, whether it's once or twice a week, dedicating time to just think higher. Like
mm,
it's our processing time or brainstorming time or time to take care of logistics on a weekday, sometimes a weekend, an afternoon or evening to just focus on Haya for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and just talk Haya and talk shop of like, this is what we're thinking. How do we think about this? And let's write this down. And what do we need to get done in this session? So I think those, yeah, creative sessions, creative Hora sessions,
yes.
um, during a weekday or a weekend is definitely helpful. And that's something we do together. Um, I would say that's one thing on the together level. And then on an individual level, specifically for me, I actually got into a new hobby that I'm starting. I got recently into golf. I'm taking golf
Ooh.
lessons. I don't think I told you, right? Yeah.
No,
I'm
it's so
in,
exciting.
yeah, I
Talk
decided to
about
take,
rich girl hobbies. I'm just
I
kidding.
know, right, right. No, I think, um, yeah, I started golf lessons about a month ago and continuing to do that. It was something I put on my bingo board of for the year. I think I talked about it earlier this year. Was to do a one golf lesson, and I ended up really liking it because it's so complex and it's in a very individual sport. Um, and yeah, about a month and a half in the lessons I'm taking and trying to practice on my own and really thinking about ways to improve. So I think I'm like pretty locked in, I would say, in this new hobby. And ever since finding golf, I think I've identified myself as a hobbyist. I just like
Mhm.
to get into new things and see what sticks. Like, for example, I had a period of biking and then I had a period of Pilates and then now I'm doing
Mhm.
golf. Um, so I think I just
You're a
like the
Renaissance woman.
I know. No, yeah, I think I just like the idea of getting into something new, and especially if it's more complex or something I've never tried, I get into it for a certain period of time. Um, and I think there's also a concept in being in golf and that had me reflecting on being in spaces that I don't see a lot of myself or a lot of people of
Mhm.
color, or there's stereotypes that yeah, it's an elitist sport or it's such a white sport. Or I think there's also that concept internally that I think about of I like this and I don't care who's in the area and I want there to be representation, and I will put my own twist into it. Like I don't have any
Yes.
in quotes golf gear. Yeah, I'm gonna show up in my regular gym clothes or whatever I'm comfortable with and just be there and take space that I know I want to be in. So I think there's also that part of it where it's like I like to get into new things, but also very I'm being very intentional about I want to be in this space. I don't see a lot of per se me or like people of color in this space, and I want to take up space intentionally
Yeah.
because it aligns with me and things that I like and know that I want to be into. So I would say that's my newest hobby is golf.
Yes. That's amazing, friend. I love that. I love that because I feel like, I've always appreciated like what an individual you are. And you are such an individual. Every space you enter, you're just authentically yourself. And even as you're like, starting like golf and you're really enjoying it, you're just like allowing yourself to be present, not allowing any like, oh, ideas of what people have about golf. You're making your
Yeah.
own. And, that's something that I've always admired about you. You really never allow anything or anyone else's opinions or ideas about something to really stop you from giving it a try yourself and making your own assessment, and making it your own, as you said. So I'm excited. I think that's freaking awesome. Like, yeah, golf is something that I mean, it seems seems a little interesting, but to be honest, I've never thought about it. But for
I know.
you, I do see it, friend, because I feel like you are someone that values your alone time, your individual time, and so having a sport that is, very, like you said, you spend time alone. It's a very individual sport. Like that aligns with what I know about you.
Yeah, no, friend. Thank you, and I'll keep you updated on the journey.
Yes,
Um, and yeah, I appreciate yeah you listening, and yeah, I think it's just another fun new hobby I found. I'll see how
yes,
long it sticks.
collecting
But
rings like Thanos.
I know, right? But enough of me, friend. I want to hear about you and your creative um life path and the hobbies you're getting into. So I know last time we spoke, you were in the second iteration of your derby lessons and going through that and navigating that space as well. So I want to definitely hear from you and how's that been,
Yes.
or how's the the life project updates you have been.
Yeah, thank you for the question, friend. I'm not gonna lie, when I watch a previous episode, it's a little bit hard for me to watch. The reason why is because I can tell that I was like really struggling with a lot of mental blockages in that
Yeah.
conversation.
Mhm.
And I can see that in the way that I was talking, and I really and like I said, I'm always going to be honest when I come into this platform in how I'm feeling in the present. And I really honored, me 2 weeks ago, just like I'll honor me
Yes.
1 month ago, 1 year ago. Like I honor every iteration of who I am. But watching that episode was really hard because I was like, oh my gosh, like I really was feeling this way. And it was a really tough place because I was having a lot of, even though I had finished the program, I still felt at that point in when we recorded that episode, I knew there's been progress, but it
Mhm.
was almost like I couldn't see the progress.
Mhm.
I felt honestly there was a lot of lack of confidence, and I talked
Mhm.
a little bit
Mhm.
about that.
Mhm.
There's mental blockages, lack of confidence, not like really just feeling like not super like I was saying like just like feeling like there was a lot of limitations that I was going through. But yeah, at that moment when we were talking, I felt that I wasn't improving. I felt that
Mhm.
I was like stuck in the same thing. And I think what's changed since we last recorded that episode, which was about 2 weeks ago, to now is I don't know, I feel like there's been a little bit of a confidence boost in my hobbies, but not just in my hobbies, like it has really like spread out through like aspects of my life, which is interesting because in the last call I mentioned, oh yeah, my lack of confidence, I see it everywhere. But like I started feeling just really confident in like the daughter that I am, the sister that I am, the tia that I am, just really confident in
Yes.
just the way that I show up in those relationships, even confident in the type of friend that I am. All these things like my character and that confidence, I just felt start feeling that really strongly in the way that I was like showing up for
Mhm.
like my close relationships. In skating, like I started to also see that as well, and that I was making it since I was showing up in so many different aspects of my life, even though, it was like a little hard, I was showing up, being present, and like in that moment, I started to see the ways that also trickled into roller skating. So I mentioned to you, it's kind of a funny story, but you know what? I'm going to share it. So I mentioned to you, I joined the like a roller skating class with like young kids, and I'm like the
Yes.
oldest person there. So they had like a little like competition with the little kids.
And
But
how did you do?
anyways, I won.
Oh shit!
I
Yeah,
beat
show
those
them little
darn little
kids.
kids. No, it was really funny
Yeah.
because I didn't say I didn't think I was gonna win, and then when she's like, "Yeah, you won," I got like a free, I think like a free drink or something, and I was like, "Oh wow!" And it's
That's
like a
so
such a
cool.
small thing, but it was like something that was hard, and it's easier for kids. So I feel really proud that I beat that. I was like, "Good."
As you
Um,
should, yes.
yeah, but then like I had my derby practice and I felt like really confident in derby. Like I started feeling like, oh shoot, like now I can like stop without thinking about it. Which that's a lot of it. I do it all the time. I think before I do, which
Mhm.
is which is what those mental like blockages are, like I'll overthink. And so I started to notice in Derby, like just like my confidence increase, where there was certain things where, yeah, I can stop without thinking. I can like turn without thinking now, which was like mind blowing because like even just to think you're going forward and then to like turn yourself around backwards, that is like terrifying for me.
That is that's
um,
scary.
and yeah, so I just started feeling more confident. And when I think about what led to me feeling like more
Mhm.
confident in all these aspects of my life, I do think that it was tapping back into my imagination.
Mm.
I think that's looking back at the last couple of weeks, I don't think I have left a lot of space for imagination. I've really been stuck in my like day to day with work. I've really been stuck in just the routines of like I mentioned, like going to Derby. It became like sort of a routine. But I would say it really just sparked in my imagination back into like just making me feel more revitalized.
Yeah, yeah,
Is my niece. Oh my god, I just love her so much. She really gives me so much like positivity, vitality just being around her.
yeah.
But I mentioned that I do play Barbies with my niece and we spend some time while I'm here. I'm like I make it a thing. For weeks I hadn't done that because I've been so busy with like stuff and we didn't have a routine for a while, and so I'm like, okay, I I started like building a routine with her around, just setting aside that time. And I found that I was doing this for her because I wanted to spend time with her. But then it started reflecting back where when I'm with her, like she has such a huge imagination, huge. Of course, she's a little kid. And so she just like started like rubbing off on me, like her imagination. Like
Mm.
I just started to feel like the magic in the imagination all around.
That's
And
real.
it was really, honestly, it was really beautiful to just start like feeling reconnected with imagination. Um, I think imagination is something that I've always been very passionate about. When I was little, I would like daydream a lot. I would tell make up stories to my younger sister, and it was all just based off like my imagination. And when I started getting back into a place where the lack of the routine, it became anything became really routine based. I feel like I lost that those small pockets of
Mhm.
like, you know, where anything is possible, where there's magic, where there's where where imagination lives, and tapping into that with like my niece has been just so lovely. And she literally like when I'm around her and I like step away afterwards, I feel like all the possibilities of what is possible, just even for her as a young child, for the way that I see what she can achieve. I'm like, oh my god, like it's just like never too late. She really pushes my boundaries to do things that I wouldn't do, because she doesn't. She just sees me as like, oh, that's my Tia, and she plays Barbie with me, so she can obviously do everything I can. And it's like, no,
Mhm.
I can't, but thank you. but um, but no, she just like really sparked a lot of imagination in me, and it really reminded me how important it is for us to continue to intentionally bring magic and imagination into our day to day. And I say that because, like I've mentioned, I've had a really hard time with just with everything that's happening in the world. I feel a lot of deep sadness around me. Like it's very intense. And I think what has really supported me in finding that balance has been understanding that, imagination is still possible, that there's still like without being unrealistic, still understanding that there's still joy to experience, there's still joy to live. And so I always allow myself to feel it when emotions come up and I feel emotional about what's happening. Like I honor that, I really always honor that. And then I have to really be intentional about still bringing joy into my life. And when I say imagination and joy, it's very similar for me.
Yep.
Imagination is joy for me, and joy is imagination. So when I feel like this immense joy, it's like literally the possibilities feel endless. I feel like
Yeah.
magic is
Yeah.
possible, like anything can happen. So I really try to like lean into that when yeah, so that's been a big thing in my creative journey. I'm trying to bring more imagination back, spark vitality back.
Yes. Yeah.
I stopped writing the blogs, which was like a thing that I felt so guilty about, and then that became to
Yeah.
spiral into a creative blog. But now with this like energy that I'm feeling, I'm trying to find a way to keep it consistent, to keep this feeling of like confidence and imagination and ground that a bit more. And maybe it is like, always finding that dedicated time with my inner child, which is always reflected back when I'm with my niece. I always
Hmm.
think back before I step into, she calls it Barbie world, but before I step into Barbie world, I'm like, okay, like 5-year-old to me would be so happy that she has someone to play
Yes.
with, because she used to play alone. So I'll walk into that with that energy,
With
that
playful.
gratitude. Yeah. And now I can tell 5-year-old me that, hey, like you're gonna find you're gonna like literally like when I was 5, because I grew up in a low income immigrant family, like I barely had any Barbie stuff. Like it was all imagination. That's why I said I had a huge imagination, because like my Barbie world was like I didn't have a lot of stuff, but I would create and imagine like the craziest stories, right? But my niece, she's little, she's spoiled. She has four like
Mansions
grown-ups
of
around her.
Barbies.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. And so I come in, I'm
I
like,
love
wow, can you imagine like 5-year-old me? Like, wow, like it's just beautiful for me to be able to connect with my inner child, and have my inner child connect with my niece, because I feel like my niece sees my inner child. Like I feel like she sees it,
it.
and that's
So
why she doesn't see like limitations. Like so she's in gymnastics, and sometimes she'll ask me to do like some like backwards thing, and she's like, try it, Thea, try it. And I'm like, I can't do that.
girl. Yeah.
And then
Bring
she
the
like
bone.
she'll push me, and then like I'll try it. I'm like, oh wow, I can do that. I had no idea. But yeah, so I will say a lot of what my yeah, it's been connecting with my inner child, which has been through my niece in my playtime with her. And so where I'm at in my creative journey now is like really trying to make sure that I keep this consistent, because I feel like what I've noticed in the last few months is that my creativity is very volatile, which is obviously like a difficult thing for me to even acknowledge, to be honest. But the last like July, I will say July has been the most consistent month for my creativity, and it's been very beautiful and very timely with Leo season too.
Yeah. Oh, friend, no, I felt the, I would say, zest and the energy and joy of one, the imagination piece, and connecting that back with 5-year-old you, and then the version you with your niece, and just seeing how, again, like that 5-year-old you essentially like brought into fruition the imagination and the Barbie world you were thinking of, and now it's live with your niece, like in her Barbie
Yeah.
world, and combining the two worlds together and honoring that joy and that imagination you had that didn't exist in quotes physically, but now it does with your niece. I can
Hmm.
only imagine how, like, yeah, that, I guess, like feeling of joy and jubilance and just happiness that you have when you have that dedicated time with your niece. And like you said, I think when imagination is combined um with something that's really impactful or just really important to you, like playing with your niece, I do think that's when also creativity sparks and make does wonders. And I mean, I think anybody with imagination can be creative and can come up with things that are special to them or important to them. And in this case, it's time with your niece. It's honoring your inner child. It's honoring just the writing and finding ways to sustain that and continue tapping into your imagination and joy. So I love hearing that
Yeah.
update with your niece. Shout out to Yoletzi for just telling you to do handstands and Barbie world. So that's amazing.
Thank you, friend. I really appreciate that.
Wow. But I guess before we wrap up, friend, and reflecting back to, yeah, this imagination kind of, again, energy and zest that you've been finding, what is maybe one or maybe two things you want to do to continue watering and nurturing this imagination state and this joy state that you have found in the last, or you're continuing to find and evolve in the last month?
Thank you, friend. That's such a great question because it's something that I have been reflecting on. And I would say, one, just keeping consistent in my playtime with my niece, whether it is Barbie or it's other things. We have very similar interests. I mean, she loves skating. She
Yeah,
loves Barbies. And she like, even like I love singing shows. Like now she likes singing shows, so
that's
we're
so
just
cute.
like, we have very similar interests. So I think just keeping our playtime so important, not allowing like the adult responsibilities to
Yeah.
push me to deprioritize that, because that is what happened the last few months. That would be one thing. The second thing is like, I started like I started to notice like a small pattern that I do where I'll say something positive and then I'll say something negative right after. So for example, and I was like, I walk every day with my niece and my sister as well. We go on a daily walk every day. And sometimes, and now I started running, and I'm like, oh, like I want to do stuff like physical stuff outside of my like physical stuff to support my roller derby journey, because you do need to have like certain muscles, right? And I'm like, oh, like I've been running, walking every day, but it's not even helping my roller derby. And I said that, right? And as soon as I said that, my brain was like, actually, like it has been helping your endurance. And I noticed that because like I'm like in my derby practice, it's 2 hours and a half long, and I'll see the other people that are in my class, and after like like when we're like deep in, like they're gassed out, and I'm like, wait, what? Like I'm ready, let's go.
But
Like
you're
there's
not. Yeah,
more.
yeah, that's
I'm not gassed out. Yeah. So I have really good endurance, and like,
that's
so I'm
awesome.
trying to just be more aware of those type of comments that I'll say, like where I'll say something positive and then something negative right away. I just want to like be more mindful of that, be more intentional of that,
Mm,
because those are things that yeah, like bring down my confidence essentially. So yeah, so just being aware of and being more intentional about what I say out loud, because obviously like I'm hearing that myself, and then I'm bringing myself down in my journey. So yeah,
mhm.
I'm making time for playtime and just being mindful about the way I speak to myself and what I say out loud is something that I want to be more consistent about, because if I've noticed it, it's become very apparent. I'm like, oh, maybe yeah, no, there's no but.
Yeah. No, I love that. And yeah, I think the playtime piece is so important. I know we've talked about it a lot together, and I know how much it means to you. And I think, yeah, words, and then the second part of words matter in terms of what
Mhm.
words we use intentionally or automatically going from criticizing ourselves. We're our own biggest critiques. So I think I love that. And I'm excited to just continue to hear updates and how you're continuing to nurture again your imagination.
Thank you, friend. But I'm so curious for our audience. How do you nurture your imagination? What are some things that you do to also, keep that magic in your day to day?
Thanks for tuning in. Creative Hora is a podcast production hosted by Dalia Zaragoza and Mary Figueroa. This episode is edited by Abdullah Kawish and is produced by akstudio.global.